Hitler did, like, I've seen pictures of him with a handlebar mustache as well, was it? Or like, you know, a bigger. Yeah. He really did experiment. Like you said,
he hadn't nailed his look at that point.
He hadn't nailed it. Yeah, I mean, like, it's like.
But he saw Charlie Chaplin and went, that's the one.
You know. Hello! Welcome to Believe. I'm Phil Green.
And I'm David Ferguson.
And this is a podcast all about the world's craziest myths, mysteries, and conspiracies. Unless, of course...
It's not.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's the truth.
Exactly, because you like to believe these things.
I like to believe.
And I think he's an idiot. But each episode, we bring on a guest. That guest has picked a myth, mystery, or conspiracy, and then we try to prove it, debunk it, or neither, because we don't really know anything, do we?
Yeah, we're just comedians.
We're just comedians. Now, if you'd like to follow us on social media, they can, can't they?
Oh, yes. You can follow us on the handle BelievePod, and we are on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, and... Blue Sky.
Oh, yeah, we're on Blue Sky, baby. We don't know what it is, but we're on it. It's where you can get in contact with us. Let us know what you think of the podcast. Let us know the conspiracies you would like us to cover. DM us. You can also email us at believeconspiracypod@gmail.com. We want to know your opinion, don't we?
Oh, my gosh, yes, because it's all about the consensus.
Yes.
We're trying to find the truth, and we want to know what you think.
I'm pretty sure we're not going to get a consensus, but we do want to know what you think. And if they would like extra episodes of the podcast every motherfucking week.
Oh, we have got you sorted out. We have a Patreon.
Oh, my God. How exciting. So for just £5 a month, you can get extra episodes of this podcast every week. Early access to the main episodes and ad-free listening. Most of our live episodes will now be on our Patreon. We'll also have former guests back to try and solve some crazy stuff. Plus, you're helping us make the podcast, and that's pretty special, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's expensive doing this, and it's an awful lot of work, and if you could help lighten that load, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, just the price of a cup of coffee, and it would help us out every single month. But we will make sure that you get an extra question answered every single week with those extra episodes. That's what you get for your money, and let me tell you, that is good value, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's such good value, and we're really excited about what we're going to bring.
Yeah, you're going to love it. Now, I'm also doing some previews of my latest stand-up show. If you would like to come and see that, I will be in Weston-super-Mare on the 22nd of March. On 29th of March, I'll be in Glasgow. 11th of April, 21 Soho in London. 2nd of May, I'll be in Southampton. And at the end of May, I will be in Brighton. And then on the 11th of June, David and I will be doing a doubleheader at the Bedford in Balham in London. So please come along if you'd like to see any of those. There'll be a link in the bio and also on my website, which is philgreencomedy.com. Now, George is looking pretty prime for this one.
Oh, he look, he's all excited. Look at his wee eyes.
Yeah, you could tell by the blinking.
Yeah.
And who is today's fabulous guest?
It's Ross Smith.
Ross Smith. Ross is a regular at some of the UK's biggest comedy clubs. He has had jokes in Dave's Top 10 Jokes at the Fringe. He has appeared on Carl Pilkington's sitcom The Sick of It and Apple TV's Slow Horses, which I didn't know until I started watching Slow Horses, and then Ross just pops up.
Yeah, he was just there.
He's just there. There he was on TV. And what is the myth, mystery, or conspiracy that Ross chose?
Hitler survived World War II.
What?
Hitler survived.
Hitler survived World War II.
Yeah.
Let's bring on Ross.
Let's bring on Ross.
Get out of the rabbit hole.
It's a fake. Every single bird in the sky is a robot.
It's fiction.
Doubt your government.
They're trying to brainwash you.
It's an urban legend.
Like if they're actually spraying something in the sky.
No way.
A stream of absurdity.
It's a total fabrication.
Welcome to the podcast, Ross Smith!
Yeah, finally.
Finally! We finally got there. Our previous guest is now watching from behind the camera.
Yeah, and taking photos, which isn't disconcerting at
Feeling
all.
intimidated, having an audience as a comedian?
Yeah, a little bit now. Yeah, definitely.
Have you been watched doing a podcast before?
No, I don't. I don't get invited onto these things. So I'm really happy. That's a conspiracy in itself, really.
Well, considering the subject matter you've chosen, maybe that's
Yeah,
why.
I know. Yeah,
Maybe that's
I mean,
why.
do you know what? I love. Well, we'll get into it, but I love conspiracy so much that when you gave me that list, I went over it so many times, being like, yeah, but that has so many merits, and that's probably quite a deep thing, and then this is there. So I think I went for one that's quite meaty, but one I didn't really know a lot about.
That's fine. That's fine. We like it that way because, well, actually, some guests we have on do know a lot about the conspiracy.
Yeah.
And then some are just interested by the conspiracy.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
like, and then, and some, and that's the thing. We get to the end and we may or may not believe it. This one is going to be a stretch, but you never know. You never know. What other conspiracies are you interested in?
Oh, I love them. I love the Avril Lavigne was replaced by a clone.
Yeah.
Paul McCartney's not dead.
Yeah. Are there any that you believe?
Oh, I mean, probably none that I'd admit publicly. No, there's Some got like, I mean, certain elements of MK Ultra have got some merit.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
some of them are just completely batshit.
Well, there is some truth in MK Ultra, isn't there?
Yeah. Like I've forgotten the name of the man who was imprisoned for assassinating Martin Luther King Jr. But Martin Luther King Jr.'s family didn't believe he did it.
Oh, really?
So and they helped get him out. So there was all those things, and Saran, who murdered, assassinated, or was blamed for assassinating Bobby Kennedy. He probably didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, he was probably a patsy. So, and he was probably programmed. But
Yeah.
And you used to live with a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
not me, incidentally.
No, not Dave.
How was that?
It's great. I'm fully for. I don't know why people get sort of angry about conspiracy theorists or any of these things, because it's the most entertaining thing in the world to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to shut it down. I want to know, like, why is the Earth flat, or why is this going on, or why are sort of, what was it? Buildings have like a gravitational force that create energy, and water has feelings. It'd just be the most fun to just go in there until like 2 a.m. and just watch these. He would find YouTube documentaries that had been watched by maybe like 100 people.
Yeah.
And go, that must mean it's true. They're trying to hide it.
How long ago was that?
This isn't long ago. This is like 3 years ago, maybe.
Okay, because the high, the good times of watching YouTube documentaries about conspiracy theories was a good 10 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The loose change kind of era was great.
Oh my goodness! Like I don't recognize YouTube anymore. I go through it and like, where's this documentary that took 5 hours about how we were created by the Illuminati? And it's just gone. Like,
I like the documentaries that are about as long as it took the people to make them. You know what I mean? Like the ones that are about 6 hours.
Yeah.
And like you just talked. You just
Yeah.
And it's so easily. I mean, the thing is that if you just ask the question why, it just becomes the most entertaining thing in the world to watch somebody go, and it always ends up with something like, the government, or like, they want to keep us all, but it's like.
But they've always got
why?
an answer. You can never prove that person wrong. So equally, it's fair to say that a cynic, so if I was taking my side of it, I would not want to be proven wrong as well. So it's very difficult to persuade the other party. But I think you need to have a balanced opinion on these things. And some of those documentaries are really deep and not balanced in any way.
No.
Yeah, I mean, completely. But, as a shill, you would say that.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right.
I mean, it's just one of those things, isn't it, where we look for patterns, and I think that I will say that I think the crossover, the sort of Venn diagram of smoking a lot of weed and liking conspiracy theories, it's just a circle, isn't it? Really,
Yeah, it's fair. That is fair.
Well, just believing.
We do, in fairness, we have this ongoing battle with YouTube. We love YouTube, but we do have an ongoing battle where there are certain conspiracy theories which they don't shadow ban us, but they're very clearly not pushing the algorithm on certain subjects. Partly because I haven't actually watched the episode and realised we don't take it as seriously as some conspiracy theorists would like. But
No way.
Yeah, but there's some that they're like, yeah, that's fine. There's others that are like, no.
Wow. So what does that mean? Does that mean
I don't know,
if the ones that is true, they're getting out there? Do you know what I mean? It's like they want it.
Well,
subterfuge.
Also, who's controlling? Who's making the decisions? Who's calling the shots on it?
Oh God, I don't know. Let's ask David Icke.
Yeah, we would love to do that.
we have messaged.
He is
him,
our
like,
perfect guest.
Oh my God, I can't tell you how much I want to go to a seminar of the the like 9-hour seminars where they
You've
have
been,
a break in the
haven't
middle.
you
Have you been?
Yeah, he's
What was
great.
it like?
I went to the one in, I want to say Brixton Academy. It might not be O2 Academy.
Yeah.
And it was great. My cousin was really into it. I've read most of his books up until a couple of years ago because it's the same thing. And he never uses an editor. If he does, it's not a very good editor. Like he really needs it edited down, boiled down. But I met David Icke many moons ago. I did an interview with him, and it was, I think, his second book had come out. There's a book where he's nude on the cover and there's a sticker over his crotch. And that was
really?
that book. Yeah. I think it's called I Am Me, I Am Free, but I might have that wrong because I don't have the book anymore.
Yeah.
They're mostly self-published.
But
Yeah.
he's a multi-billionaire. Like and he's the granddaddy of modern conspiracy theories. But I remember he was it was a church hall that he was doing the talk in, and he was putting his own chairs out, and his wife at the time, he's still good friends with her, but they're not together anymore, was there with him. And I always remember that, and then seeing him in this 3-day conference. He's compelling, but it's weird. It's like he had the same. We're all comedians here, some more than others, and where you build up a set over time. So I remember the bare bones were the mid 90s, and now it's so elaborate and rich and wonderful. He's a great orator. Like even if you don't believe any of it, go. He's really entertaining, and he's not going to be here much longer because I think he's 79 now.
Yeah.
You know, and he's great.
I think it's always compelling watching someone who's a great orator to speak and project, right? And I mean, as performers, you watch someone and you think, I don't believe what you're saying, but my God, the way you're saying it is amazing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just love it. Yeah, the passion with what he speaks about. It's just, I always find that sort of, I'm in and I'm quite like pliant, you know what I mean? It's so like unbelievably like, I can see how there's a like system of sort of, lights and frequencies, and that's what ghosts are, is maybe a different frequency coming in, and then it'll be like, and the Queen's a lizard. You're like, all right, I don't believe that, David. Maybe give me something else.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing about David Icke is the lizard thing, I think, really derails him.
Yeah.
Because he talked about other things that he was proven right on.
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile and what he was, Edward Heath, what he was. He named and shamed in books while these people were still, well, certainly when Jimmy Savile was still alive. But they were able to go, well, he thinks the royal family are lizards. And I'm like, well, it's...
Lizard birth.
A lizard birth, Elizabeth, a lizard birth.
That's the theory.
Is that really?
Yeah.
See, but this is that if she was a lizard and there was the whole thing, they wouldn't drop little clues like that, would they? They wouldn't be like, well, actually, her name's a bit of an anagram. It sounds a bit like a lizard birth.
Say that, but you say it's too obvious, but that's the genius of it.
But do you find that's because that was when I lived the conspiracy theorist as well? That would be the thing, is there'd be these little clues. Little clues here and there, and you'd be like, but why? Yeah. Like, why would they put 9/11 in an episode of The Simpsons beforehand? Like, why would that happen?
This is the Riddler theory.
It's they put it out. It's to get rid of karmic debt. They tell everyone, we're going to do this.
Right.
It's not. This is what's going to happen, and if you let it happen, then it's fine.
Yeah.
And that's why they do it. I mean, the amount of things about 9/11. I have to say, I love watching those videos, like Loose Change back in the day. Yeah. And but
that is great. It's a really good. Whether you believe it or not is kind of irrelevant. It's a really good.
It's really well made.
Yeah, it's really well made. Yeah.
And jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams.
Anyway, this conspiracy. Hitler survived World War II. A light-hearted one for today. The widely accepted historical account states that Adolf Hitler died by suicide in his Berlin bunker on April 30th, 1945, as Soviet forces closed in on the city. However, alternative theories suggest that Hitler may have escaped and lived in secrecy after World War II. These claims, fueled by declassified documents, witness testimonies, and conspiracy theories, have generated ongoing debate. While mainstream historians dismiss these theories due to a lack of concrete evidence, they continue to capture public imagination. So, Ross, you were saying you've seen a few people look a bit like Hitler?
Well, today, actually, I was just walking down the street and I was kind of thinking about it, because what I've done now is that, like, I'll go on these esoteric sort of rabbit holes of, like, you know, Scientology. Like, that's every 6 months. I'll just watch every documentary about that, and then I'll do these and do this. But I purposefully, when you guys said about this, I was like, I don't want to know anything about it. I haven't really looked into it. Something that I haven't got my teeth into, so that I can just whatever. But I was walking down the road today, and there was a road sweeper, and it just looked like, honestly, it looked like Hitler sort of. But I did go on and then work out, and I was like, no, but Hitler would now be dead. Like, even if he'd survived the war, he would now be dead. Yeah. But it just looked like white hair, comb over, and then like a sort of toothbrush mustache. But it was as though he'd like dyed that bit to be like, you know.
So just a fan, basically.
Yeah, maybe just a fan.
Yeah.
Like Kanye.
Yeah.
Like Kanye, yeah. But I was like, but that also my conspiracy theorist brain was going, but that's the job he would be doing as well. You know, stay undercover, sweep the streets, still know what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what's going on the streets, but you know.
It was giving something back.
Yeah, exactly. But now I find that there's a lot of people who, I mean, the sort of like mustache look has come back in, hasn't it? So, you know, it's coming back.
It really is making a big comeback this year.
Yeah, we've entered the season of the mustache.
Yeah. The name Adolf is still not popular.
There's not been that many Adolfs. That said, it does still exist. People do call it.
Dolph Lundgren, his full name's Adolf.
There you go.
No way.
Yeah. So that's why he's Dolph.
Oh my God, that makes Rocky IV even better. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Dolph Lundgren's a great guy. He survived cancer 9 years.
I like how seriously he doesn't take himself.
Yeah, he's great.
He will put himself in anything.
He is He-Man.
He is He-Man.
And I love him.
Oh my God, what a man. Growing up watching Rocky IV, that's
Man.
like archetypical sort of like.
And didn't he really knock Sylvester Stallone out? He really fucked him up. Yeah.
I guess he like pierced his liver or something.
Because Sylvester Stallone is not that big compared to Dolph Lundgren. Dolph Lundgren is huge.
Nobody's that big compared to Dolph Lundgren.
Oh my God.
It's true. So the basis of the survival theory, the main argument supporting the theory that Hitler survived revolves around the alleged lack of definitive physical evidence confirming his death. The Soviet Union, which was first to enter Hitler's bunker, never publicly released his body or DNA evidence. Instead, the Soviets reported that they had recovered partial remains, including a skull fragment with a bullet hole. However, in 2009, a forensic analysis conducted on the fragment concluded that it did not belong to Hitler, but to an unidentified woman, casting doubt on previous assertions. Additionally, some claimed that the rapid disposal of Hitler's remains, burned and buried by his aides, was too convenient and left room for speculation. Some eyewitnesses provided conflicting reports regarding the exact circumstances of his death, fueling further uncertainty. So, I mean, it is true to say that there isn't a lot of evidence. They do believe this happened. They believe they found, I think, the bullet or they found some shrapnel. But, I mean, in fairness, DNA evidence wasn't around then.
Yeah.
So
It's around now.
It's around now. That's true.
And that's how they were able to prove what they had was a woman. And it wasn't Eva Braun.
No, it wasn't Eva Braun. And I mean, that I think is true. It was a woman as far as the DNA evidence was concerned. Do you think this happened?
That Hitler escaped World War II and went to South America and lived out a natural life, yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, he did. Of course he did. And I mean, I love the idea that he died, very bad man,
Yeah.
not a fan. But he lived in his old age. And
Do we think he would have taken his own life? Does it seem likely he would have taken his own life?
He was quite a passionate.
He was a passionate man, yeah.
He was quite, I mean, I don't know. Do you know what? I just think it makes the idea of a perfect sitcom. The idea of Hitler living out his life somewhere else. But he's quite at that time.
Yeah,
it's the whole thing to do with like being recognizable. I mean, I don't know. It was the 1940s. There were probably 3 channels on the TV, 2 radio stations.
Yeah.
You'd recognise, but how he wouldn't have to do that much work to not be recognisable, would he?
No. It was a pretty distinctive look.
Yeah, but you get rid of that mustache and cut a bit of that hair, he could be,
Yeah, you'd think that's what he would do, but a lot of these sightings, those are the main.
Oh, really?
Yeah, those are the main features that people, which is why people, like you were saying about the street cleaner, the little moustache,
yeah,
the slick back hair. You were like, well, that's Hitler.
See, the thing is I don't know who would keep it after that, especially around that time.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't keep that look unless you were a real fan,
Well, that's true. But then it does take a while to nail a look, doesn't it? We know this is
so
performance.
Proud of it.
When you find your look.
Yeah. What? So you reckon that he escapes that bunker?
Yeah.
He gets to the safe house wherever he is.
Yeah.
And they go like, "Mein Führer, you're going to have extensive plastic surgery.
Yeah.
We're going to cut your hair. Here's a razor. Do what you need to do." And he's just there going, "But I just can't do it.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It took me years.
Years to nail this. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect the way it is. I don't know. I mean. The plausibility of it, I went into this thinking, no way, he died. But thinking about it is that it was such... Oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this sentence. It was such a big deal, the World Wars, right? It's such a big deal that, I can't imagine at that stage that any soldier wouldn't go in and want proof that they'd done it.
Yeah, I have to say, it is a plausible conspiracy. That's the thing with this one. It's rooted in a level of reality. There's some we've done with the Earth is hollow. There's some we've done where or the moon's a projection. Where I'm like, this is ludicrous.
Yeah.
But it's possible. This could have happened. It's conceivable. This is possible, right? People have faked their own deaths. We know that's a thing that's happened in the past. People have run away to other countries. There's cases of that. Convicts running away and forming new identities. So we know it can happen. And I guess if you're somebody that's well connected. Throughout the world, and you've got a massive following, and he did. It's possible that it could happen.
Yeah, and it was certainly possible. Mm-hmm. It was certainly feasible. There's loads of reasons why that would be. He made the negotiations before. I mean, there were of course the Nuremberg trials, and there were senior National Socialists that were imprisoned and executed. That did happen, but a lot of people got away. Just look at NASA, like that Project Paperclip. That was an actual thing.
That was an actual thing. Yeah.
So like that, the Project Paperclip happened. So that we know that the world governments did look the other way with things.
Yeah.
So maybe they looked the other way with Hitler. Why not? Would look the other way with Hitler.
There's Project Paperclip where they use like Nazi technology.
Well, actually, so high-ranking Nazis who are specifically qualified in certain fields, they ship them in to work in certain organisations. NASA is an example of that.
That's why it's NASA, not Nazi.
Again, hiding in plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight.
I like the idea.
Like von Braun was a monstrous Nazi.
Yeah.
And he lived a very happy life
Yeah, he did.
after
Oh, really?
all the horrible things he did.
Because the intel, they wanted the intel more than they wanted to bang him up.
Right. But can you imagine that? You're working at NASA. There's a new person in. All right, what was your?
Well, NASA
what was your last job?
NASA was created by von Braun.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. That's where it came from. So we definitely got our hands dirty. It says the person who's not a US citizen, we definitely got our hands dirty with the Nazis to create the space program. Yeah. We didn't want the Soviets to have it, and it is muddy. So the idea that Hitler was able to get away with everything,
it's conceivable. I mean, alleged escape routes and sightings. Supporters of the survival theory suggest that Hitler could have fled Germany via multiple escape routes. Some accounts propose that he travelled to Argentina, a country known for harbouring Nazi fugitives after the war. Friends of a German community and alleged sightings of Hitler in South America have contributed to these claims. Declassified FBI files reveal that the US intelligence received reports of Hitler's possible presence in Argentina, but no concrete proof was ever found. So it is true to say that there are FBI and I think CIA files that do document potential appearances of Hitler in South America. So it's not. There's nothing in this. Essentially, there was some speculation, rumors about the time through official channels.
At the time that when the official story of Hitler having committed suicide with Eva Braun, there was an investigation after, like it wasn't complete, like, this is it, cut and dry, it's done.
Right.
Yeah. And certainly the rumor that Hitler had survived was there in the zeitgeist, like Hitler's brain is a thing, that's almost a joke amongst sci-fi nerds,
Because this was the time, and we talked about this before on the podcast, but this was a time where people believed whatever the news told them. Right? This is pre-JFK, this is pre-Vietnam. So if the news cycle was saying, yep, Hitler shot himself, then everyone went, Hitler shot himself then.
Right.
That was the thing, right? So there wasn't a need to question it. Whereas now people want evidence, they want to know for certain. We talk about Saddam Hussein and people like that. Yeah. People need to see.
Yeah, well, Bin Laden famously.
Exactly.
We buried him at sea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it does make sense.
Though?
Yeah, the thing you were saying about the sort of the deal, like I didn't think of that at all. But I'll surrender, but I want A, B, and C, and I want to be,
It's the end of Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, I mean, except for Hitler getting written with bullets.
Yes, but the idea of...
Oh, yeah, the guy working out the deal, yeah. I mean, that's entirely possible now that you think about it, because, tell everybody that he died, and, it was in a bunker, we went down there, but, I just don't, that's what I'm thinking, is that, I know if my, a long-lost relative of mine would have gone down there, I know what I would have done. I would have immediately, Hitler's dead.
Yeah.
We got Hitler. Here he is.
Yeah.
I was there. I saw him first.
Will you be Instagramming it for a start?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What an Insta story that would be.
Yeah, I'd check if he really had one ball. I'd be because there was that thing, wasn't there, about Hitler's penis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
Yeah,
Somebody claimed they had Hitler's penis.
Yeah. They didn't. We don't know, do we?
We don't know. It's a conspiracy theory podcast, weird stories podcast.
Yeah.
We don't know.
So
I don't want to talk about Hitler's penis.
Well, I mean, that. I can imagine that at the time that would be a real, trophy.
Oh yeah. I mean, be the ultimate, unless you had his ball, of course.
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, he's only got the one ball.
He
He hasn't
has,
even got the penis. And he's lost a penis and a ball. So
we all know where the other one is. So others theorise that Hitler may have used secret underground tunnels or U-boat routes to escape undetected. Some accounts even suggest he lived a life under a new identity, with varying speculations about his later life and eventual death. There have been reports of supposed Nazi hideouts in remote regions of Argentina, including a well-known claim that a secret compound was built in Patagonia to house fleeing Nazi officials. These locations have been investigated, but no conclusive proof of Hitler's presence has been uncovered. Furthermore, some researchers claim that Nazi sympathisers in Spain, Switzerland, or even the Vatican have helped aid Hitler's escape. There have been also unverified accounts of individuals claiming to have seen Hitler in different parts of the world decades after the war. These alleged sightings, however, are largely considered anecdotal and lack substantial evidence. I
want to hear the anecdotes now.
I mean, no shit. Well, don't worry, I've got some of them.
Brilliant.
I mean, in fairness, like, there are still parts of the world where his political philosophy was adopted, and there were certain leaders and certain key people who could have helped that escape route if they really wanted to, wouldn't they? Well, if they were bought into the agenda.
Well, Perón was a supporter of
he was,
of Hitler. So, I mean, I mean, there were people that supported Hitler. There were, you know, and he was Times Magazine Man of the Year at one point, wasn't he? You know, I mean, who else did that happen to? Anyway,
what other dictator?
Yeah.
But do you know, when it says there are traces of Hitler's presence, what are they looking for?
Yeah, a little bit moustache hair.
But what I don't
hair gel.
I don't understand. I mean, when you said Patagonia,
essence of Hitler.
Yeah, exactly.
His scent, his aura.
What is it? I mean, I don't know. When you said Patagonia, I was just thinking, oh right, yeah, he's got his own clothing line now as well. You know?
Well, I mean, there's parts of Central America that are German colonies, like huge German colonies.
I've been to that part of the world. I've gone through a fair bit of Patagonia, and there are entire towns that are very German speaking and very German food. There's a huge German presence, and it's dotted around all over South America. So it is conceivable, and that all did start in the 40s, in the late 40s. So
wow,
there was definitely a migration of Germans.
Was that just because there was no extradition from there, or was that because, you know, for the Nuremberg trials?
Well, they think a lot of them got out pre the end of the war, so they knew that the shit was hitting the fan, and they were bailing sort of 44, early 1945, so knowing that the end was near. So those are the rumors. But I mean, it's a big presence. It's not unnoticeable.
That's crazy. I did not know that there's whole sort of German speaking places there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, complete, like, major villages, major towns.
Jesus,
like a German, not like integrated or whatever. And
imagine that. Imagine if you were backpacking in South America and you just came across a town where it was just like, you know,
but that happens.
Oh.
That happens, and people go missing. That's another thing. So like there was a complex where Hitler was supposed to be.
Yeah,
and like anybody that went near it just disappeared.
I got appendicitis in Bolivia. And had to be taken to La Paz, which is the biggest city in Bolivia. And I got taken to a German-run clinic there because it was the most efficient place to get that operation done.
They are efficient. It is a cliche.
Yeah, and they were amazing. And I was in there for a week. But it didn't really occur to me at the time. And then I kind of after I was recovering, I was like, oh, there's a big German presence in this hospital. And it was built in the early 50s. So there's a correlation there. Yeah. And there's a lot of those sort of hospitals and offices and businesses that are German run.
You have a Nazi appendix?
Yeah, I don't have an appendix anymore, but I've had Nazis in me taking my appendix out.
Wow.
Yeah.
that sounds like a porno I'd watch.
But again, they did a very efficient job, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, they really did. They really did. But I don't know, like, you know what? I came in thinking that this is just not possible. And I'm just this is how I'm in. I'm so polite. Now I'm like, he lived. There's Hitler's progeny.
Yeah, but you'll go home and watch a YouTube video that counter-acts and go, oh yeah, that's bullshit.
Yeah, I know, probably. Yeah. But I mean, I want to believe this now. Okay. Like, you know, there was a TV show. You'll know the name of this TV show, I'm sure, is
3 seasons, Hunting Hitler.
Is that it?
Yeah.
No, there was one that was like a drama.
Oh, Hunters.
Hunters.
Yes, with Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it was good.
So I've seen the scene at a barbecue when he has to sort of, he's like an American, like, hey, and then, somebody
he's a
notices
brilliant character.
Yeah, he's great.
So
Yeah,
sinister when he shoots them all dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so disconcerting,
Spoilers.
the idea that, disconcerting the idea that anybody could be one.
Yeah.
I mean, there were Nazis that lived their whole lives and were discovered as old men.
Yeah.
It did happen, and it happened with so many. Like the atrocities that happened during World War II were unbelievable. I mean, I grew up. I knew a woman called Helen Lewis. She wrote a book called "The Time to Speak." She survived Auschwitz. So, and I saw her. She was at Auschwitz, so she had the tattoo, and she her whole family was wiped out in Auschwitz. She came to Northern Ireland because she had a pen pal here, and she ended up marrying him and starting life in Northern Ireland. And then she helped the dance community in Northern Ireland. So she was a great person.
Oh wow!
And I got to meet her when I was a teenager, and a friend of mine. That I was in school with, who's also an author, Anne Madden, Wilderness Way, her book, go buy it. She became really good friends with her, and that's how we got to meet her. And she was just this marvelous woman. So I'm not a fan of Nazis because of it. That was meant to be funnier than.
I don't think any of us are fans of Nazis.
I don't know.
No, but David has more of a reason.
I'm better.
We're slightly more on the fence.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the disconcerting thing about it, but it's also the fascinating thing about it is that, the biggest you would think, because at any story you think, the baddies all got what they deserved, and then we all moved on.
No,
whereas
they
it's
didn't.
No, but I'm saying that's what your brain believes. That's what you're told, and then all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, no, actually, most of them got away. They've lived their life. They've done all these things, and as long as they keep quiet about it, nobody's going to turn around and go, because all the people who'd be able to recognise them are not around, or were children at the time.
Yeah,
or were on their side, so it was fine.
Yeah,
you sort of you see it in a lot of popular culture, like the most recent. The truly terrible Indiana Jones film. There's elements of that, the Nazis still being there. The Night Porter, which is a classic film, it's absolutely brilliant. Charlotte Rampling is about the Nazis 15 years later still being Nazis, because and that's the way it was, the nature of it.
Yeah, because just because you've lost, it doesn't mean that you suddenly start disagreeing with the philosophy, do you?
Yeah, Mengele just doesn't start, doing appendix operations.
Exactly.
He's still like, I mean, it's within you, and just because a war is sort of said to be over doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you change, right?
No.
I mean, because that is the thing, is that is the signal that the war is over, right? It's the sort of the liberation, and then he's in the bunker and he shoots himself. That's the theory.
Yeah. I think it was over, but that was sort of the pivotal moment, I suppose, where the world went, oh well, Hitler's dead, so that's it.
Yeah. The story is finished.
Yeah. Although I think the Japanese would disagree that was when it finished, but yeah.
Well, a lot of the Japanese were 20 years, 30 years later, still fighting the war. I mean,
oh yeah. That's mad as well, right?
It is.
But I think, combine all conspiracy theories. I think it was Courtney Love who killed Hitler.
Yeah.
I kind of love the idea of Courtney Love killing him. Because she would.
That's a movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and
she definitely would.
Yeah,
Hitler and Tupac live on Cuba.
Yeah.
She
was trying to expose Harvey Weinstein back in.
Well, yeah, but right, she was clear about that, but she also probably did kill Kurt. Anyway,
we'll take that bit out.
No, so I love Courtney. I love you, Courtney. I am joking. I think you take
she's amazing. The Columbia theory. A CIA report in the 1950s suggested that Hitler had survived the Second World War. The report was based on a photograph surreptitiously taken in South America of a former SS officer and a man who claimed to be Hitler. Philip Citroen, a former German SS trooper, stated to an agent that Adolf Hitler is alive. He continued, Citroen commented in that as much as 10 years had passed since the end of World War II, the Allies could no longer prosecute Hitler as a criminal of war. So on this photo, which is taken in 1954, it's showing the name of the person that Philip Citroen is sitting with is Adolf, Schrittelmeyer. So he hasn't bothered even changing his first name, just changed his surname, in Tunga, Colombia. And this is written on the back of the photo. The person on the left is alleged to be Citroen, and the person on the right is undoubtedly the person which Citroen claims is Hitler. The back of the photograph contained the following data: Adolf Schrittelmeyer, Tunga, Colombia, 1954. Theories for Hitler have generally centered around Argentina, not Colombia, and it was widely presumed he would have been heavily disguised, not keeping his first name, and looking the exact same as the world-famous appearance during the bloodiest conflict in human history. The United States Secret Service issued images in 1944 about how he might try to disguise himself. Now, I appreciate we haven't got the photo here, but I cannot tell you how much he looks like Hitler.
Really?
So not only has he not changed his first name, he has not changed his
What was his
look.
surname, though? Schrittelmeyer.
Schrittelmeyer.
Has that got the letters Hitler in it? Because that might be an anagram. That's the way conspiracies
You know
work.
what? Oh, not quite. It has got an E, but not far
right,
off.
yeah.
Not far off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you think it's like a second guessing thing of like, he's like, well, everybody's going to assume I'm going to, get rid of the mustache, do the hair or whatever. So he's been
So
like, I'll keep it because nobody will think he'd keep his first name and do this.
Hiding in plain sight.
Hiding in plain sight.
I've said it before.
Yeah.
Said it before.
I don't know. Like, you wouldn't have a photo taken though, would you?
I don't think he posed for the photo.
No, he wasn't.
did he not?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
He wasn't posing for the photo. It was a photo that was taken in sort of on the sly by someone with this Philip Citroen guy sitting next to him. And that's kind of one of the reasons why it's rumoured. But I mean, in fairness, if he was going to escape to South America, it could have been Colombia. It doesn't necessarily mean it was Argentina.
There you go as well. Citroen and the maker of the Vauxhall.
There you go.
Next to each other.
Just banging out cars.
Yeah, just a sort of.
I mean, I'll be honest, if he's gone from making VWs to Citroens, the quality is diminished. Maybe it's the quality of parts in South America. It's a bit of a Top Gear joke, what wasn't it? Anyway, Grey Wolf. In 2011, the book Grey Wolf, The Escape of Adolf Hitler was published by British authors Simon Dunstan and Gerard Williams. And the 2014 docudrama written by Williams based on it suggests that a number of U-boats took certain Nazis and Nazi loot to Argentina, where the Nazis were supported by future President Juan Perón, who, with his wife Evita, had been receiving money from the Nazis for some time. As reported claims received by the FBI stated, Hitler allegedly survived in Argentina, first staying at the Hacienda San Ramon in Bariloche, and then moved to the Bavarian-style mansion in Inalco, a remote and barely accessible spot on the northwest end of, I can't pronounce that lake, close to the Chilean border, basically. Eva Braun supposedly left Hitler around 1954 and moved to Neuquén with their daughter Ursula, while Hitler allegedly died in February 1962. The book passingly asserts that Bormann gave the US Office of Strategic Services stolen art and military secrets in exchange for Hitler's life. It is true to say that Juan Perón was an ally of Hitler, wasn't
Yeah. Yes.
I'm going to be honest, I stopped listening when I heard the word hacienda. Because I was just thinking of Hitler just off his tits.
Well, Hitler was famously off his tits a lot of the time.
Oh,
He was into
Yeah, he
speed
was,
and meth.
yeah,
And there's loads of footage of him, like at the German the Berlin Olympics, and he's tweaking. Like
Oh, really?
He's gone off. On
Oh,
one,
my
look
God.
it up.
Was it what he had to do with? Was it Jesse Owens, the runner?
Yeah.
He's like, I need some weed, man.
He's trying to get down there to race him himself.
You can see, and he did take medication. He did take drugs.
Yeah, I think he had an opium addiction, didn't he?
Yeah. So
I know that, Winston Churchill was apparently famously in the war room, like cocaine, just staying up all night and speed and all these things, and
it's just like a green room.
Yeah, just like agreement, but it was like cocaine lozenges, so it was a bit more,
a bit classier.
a bit classier.
He was gangster.
Yeah. I mean,
he has some questionable opinions, but he was gangster.
Yeah, but also with the cocaine and the booze and everything, like it is that thing of he was like, I will fight them. It's like, yeah, but that's got to be to do with the coke and the booze as well. Yeah. I don't know.
It's definitely going to give you a confidence that you wouldn't necessarily have without it.
Yeah, and keep you awake and do all that.
What were you saying about the in return for the art? I don't understand that.
So Nazi gold and art, there's a lot of that. And essentially they're saying that it was a kind of a trade-off for Hitler's life. I mean, there was a lot of that stashed away, wasn't there? And there's the whole. What's the film with George Clooney that's about that? I think they hid it all in Switzerland, wasn't it?
The
Men. Thanks, George.
Thank you.
The Monuments Men.
We love George.
Yeah, it's about the stashing of art by the Nazis in Switzerland, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it means Nazi art still, the art that the Nazis stole is still being found today.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
Really? Oh wow.
But essentially, the whole concept was they could use that
Yeah.
to bargain. So the concept here is they could use it to bargain with someone's life. And in this case, it's obviously the big dog, but it could have been any number of major rankings.
What art would you take for Hitler?
A Liechtenstein, I think, probably.
Just one?
Yeah, just one.
Oh, really? I don't know. See, this is the thing, is that it'd be worth a lot. I think you got a lot of bargaining power.
Yeah,
with
you're
Hitler.
right. Yeah, fair. What could I get? What was that Damien Hirst thing when he halved a
Yeah.
go? I get that.
Right, yeah, get that.
I'd like that.
What about the? I'd take a few Hockneys, I think.
Would you?
Yeah. I'd want Pollock's work thrown into it.
Yeah, you got to get.
And do you know what? I'd want all of Hitler's paintings as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
Really lackluster. I mean, like,
Not the best.
I
You go any art, and that's what you've gone for.
No, just because I know it would piss him off.
Oh, okay. All right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, okay, you're going back, you're living all your life, but I'm going to have your.
He'd be pissed off about the fact
paintings.
a non-art connoisseur had bought his art. is
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Okay, right.
exactly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that would be
One-
worth a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Do you reckon?
well, no, but I mean, Hitler's paintings do sell. Like there is a market for that, and SS, like any memorabilia, there's always
Die
a market
young.
for 'em. Yeah,
It always overvalue stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of serial killers' art is mad expensive as well. You know,
Yeah.
crazy expensive. But you know, I've heard conversations with people before who've sort of shown me Hitler's art, and it's really funny because they're really like, you know, it's terrible. Look at it; it's awful, as if it's the worst thing he's done.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
you've got to take this in perspective. Like, you know, that's. I think
But
that's
who's
the
going
reason.
to tell him it's dog shit?
People did. Though.
Yeah.
That, you know, it's the same reason why people get into comedy. You weren't loved when you were young.
Yeah,
enough,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and look what you create something terrible. That's what happens.
Well, that's the comedy staple, isn't it? You know, talking about going back in time and killing Hitler. Whereas, like, realistically, if you just went back in time and said to the person who was, you know, auditioning him for art school, just let him in.
Let them in.
Just let him in. You're going to save us all a lot of hassle.
Sightings in Europe. While most claims place Hitler in South America, some reports suggest he has been spotted in Spain or Switzerland. In 1947, a German soldier claimed he had seen Hitler in Spain, possibly under the protection of Franco's regime. In the years following the war, some people in Switzerland reported encounters with an elderly man resembling Hitler. I mean, it's again conceivable that in Franco Spain he could have been.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is quite possible. Again, this is having allies or people of a similar political philosophy in other areas of the world.
I mean, when did Franco? I've completely forgotten the timeline.
Right up into the 80s, wasn't it?
Yeah, Franco was.
It was like 50 odd years.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a long time.
You know.
He's a real piece of work. Claims from South American locals and researchers. Chile in the 1950s and 60s. Some researchers claim that Hitler fled to Chile after spending time in Argentina. Reports surfaced of a German-speaking man resembling Hitler living in the remote mountains.
Great.
Damn it. I like him being like a Sherma. Is it Sharma?
Sherpa.
Sherpa.
No, not Sherpa. What's a shaman? That's what
Shaman, yeah. And well, I just like the idea that it sounds like he went on a gap year.
Yeah.
You know, he was just like, he's done all that stuff, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm just going to go around South America and Cambodia, go over to Thailand for a little bit,
Yeah.
you know, like.
Well, if Hitler,
Buckets.
if Hitler did go to Central America and not do ayahuasca, come on, it's like, can you Hitler doing ayahuasca? You know?
Yeah, do you think he had a real revelation? He was
can
like,
you
oh my
imagine?
God, what did I do?
That was wrong. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh my God, did I do
Ava
all
never
that?
loved me. You know, like.
Because, yeah, the thing is, he was teetotal, right?
Yeah, we did.
Which is-
did loads of drugs.
Yeah, I know he did loads of. Well, I mean, yeah, but the idea of him not touching booze, I think, is just really funny. Because if there's one thing that would sort of like not excuse it, but like the next day on a hangover, being like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
did I do that? Oh my!" But like, no, just completely sober.
Yeah, I'm like Churchill.
Unlike who was in a blackout most of the time.
Yeah. So where? So Spain and where else?
Spain,
Chile.
and Spain, Chile, Argentina. There's also a report in 1984 1954, Brazilian media reported that an elderly German man in Mato Grosso was suspected of being Hitler. However, the claim was debunked when no evidence could be found. But this was a big story at the time. So this is Brazil in the 1970s, essentially. But so they're saying that he lived up until the early 80s in Brazil.
I mean, the idea of Hitler living on is a staple in pulp fiction and science fiction.
Yeah.
Hitler's brain. There's one of the great comic book creators, Eric Larson. He's got a series called The Savage Dragon, and one of his bad guys is Hitler's brain in a big gorilla. and it's kind of. But the boys from Brazil, cloning Hitler. It's the idea that he survived or went on, like one of the Fantastic Four. We're going to get a movie later this year with terrible casting, but neither here nor there. But one of the Fantastic Four's main villains for years was the Hatemonger, who was a clone of Hitler. So, Hitler was out there.
Wasn't Doctor Doom? Isn't that kind of
the idea? But Victor Von Doom is there's good in Victor Von Doom.
Okay.
I love Doctor Doom.
Do you not think that it's because he's sort of like the archetypical villain, isn't he? Really,
Yeah.
the look, everything is like he's such an easy villain to paint. It's just like it's the reason why everybody online is called Hitler straight away is because he's the archetypical sort of type. So the fact that it comes into modern sort of
I think all major villains in Hollywood really that have come out of it since then have been at least partially based on Hitler, right? In terms of
definitely, and with Stalin right there. No,
he had great hairstyle in that.
It was good hair.
Good hair.
Yeah. Hitler's not so much. Although Hitler did I've seen pictures of him with a handlebar mustache as well. Was it or a bigger? Yeah. He really did experiment.
He hadn't nailed his look at that point.
He hadn't nailed it. Yeah, I mean, it's like
But he saw Charlie Chaplin, went, That's
the one.
That's a serious.
But then Charlie Chaplin famously, The Great Dictator.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good.
So reporting sightings in Africa, although less common, there were some reports of Hitler being seen in Africa. In Egypt in 1954, some rumors suggested that Hitler had travelled to Egypt, possibly seeking refuge among groups hostile to Western powers. And South Africa in the 1990s. This seems a little bit unbelievable, but some conspiracy theories claim that Hitler lived to be over 100 years old and died in South Africa. This theory has no factual support. I mean, none of these have any real factual support, to be honest. That one seems far-fetched. Egypt, I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
It's not that far away for a start, is it?
Yeah. But, I mean...
But surely South America would be more likely because that is about as far away as he could have gone.
And there is the massive German communities there, and Peron was definitely a supporter. And I mean, that makes most sense to me that they got a U-boat to Central America, got to Argentina, were there for a while, and then they moved over to the German colonies.
It seems
Central
like the
America.
most likely place he could have seamlessly integrated.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or get lost in, especially at that time, that period.
Yeah. I mean, Hitler in Africa, that you just stand out, don't you? Surely, you just stand out completely. In Egypt, I don't buy it. South Africa, I really don't buy it as well. But the U-boat thing. I mean, I'm just going through all these things, and now I'm like a firm believer. I'm like, he probably did survive, but we can't ever prove this.
No, that we can't. We can't.
You're absolutely right.
Without assuming
That's why we get an hour of content out of this, Ross.
Yeah, I know, but now you realise this is going to drive me mad now. I want to prove this. I'm going to go on YouTube binges about this.
Yeah, I had to go to bed last night after because I'm not watching any more of this.
It's endless. It's endless videos.
Endless.
Because I would be watching. Surely there's got to be sighting. Surely that now there has to be old YouTube videos, old footage of
There's
was
not
this Hitler
that much
or was
footage,
this?
just because of the period. There are some. There's some, but there's not loads. It's more photographs. It's more photographs and newspaper articles.
I mean, I want to believe it because you were saying there, if he died in 1962, feasibly. That would mean that he's watched Happy Days. Yeah. Things I just like that idea of Hitler just sitting around watching all of these things and being, maybe he sort of turned around and was like, do you know what, actually, I think it's actually turned out all right. Maybe I shouldn't have run.
I can't get over the idea of Hitler doing ayahuasca. Suddenly that's actually
But
There's
the
a
thing
movie
is,
there.
no one believed his stories. They're like, wow,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
built what? Oh, no. The Beetle? No. So the New York theory, you want to know about this one?
Yes.
Yes, I do.
The idea that Hitler resided in New York City after 1945 comes primarily from unverified eyewitness accounts of people who claim to have seen a man resembling Hitler in the city. The belief that the US government may have secretly relocated Nazi officials under programs like Operation Paperclip, as you were talking about before, which brought German scientists and intelligence officers to the US, although Hitler himself was apparently never included in such programs. Cold War era speculation the US might have helped Hitler escape to gain intelligence from him. So we know Operation Paperclip was a thing.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
do know that high-ranking Nazis were shipped out to the US to work on major programs of work. It feels unlikely that Hitler would have been one of them, but it's feasible, again, because we know that they did do it with others, that it could have been him. New York seems a strange place to assimilate.
Yeah, but is that not... Is that
Hiding in
place
plain
you
sight.
would- Yeah.
Well, in 1960s, reports surfaced that an elderly German-speaking gentleman resembling Hitler was living in Queens, New York. Some claim that he had altered his appearance, shaving his moustache and adopting a new identity. This is the sort of thing that he should have been doing.
Yeah,
that seems
yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
feasible, actually, in some ways. And the guy that was in Colombia looked exactly like Hitler.
I don't know. I went to New York a couple of years ago, and
You did too.
I think people would blend in, you know?
Yep. It's a very multicultural city.
No, but I mean, it's just people mind their business. Like people,
that is true.
people are.
And also, you wouldn't be like, do you not think that guy looks like Hitler? Like, it just, you know, it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
it would
Mind
be
your
too
own fucking
absurd.
business.
Yeah, you'd just move on, wouldn't you? You'd say it to your friend, but you wouldn't go to the police and be like, I think I saw Hitler. You'd be like, okay, that guy's doing some kind of like,
Saw him eat a bagel. It was fine.
Okay, buddy, get out of here. 1970s conspiracy theory suggested that Hitler was living in an underground bunker or hidden apartment in Manhattan, blending into the city's diverse immigrant population. The irony of that is wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
The New York one doesn't feel real to me.
I really.
No, I love that. Though. I love that idea because that's almost some kind of like poetic Black Mirror style punishment, right?
Yeah.
You've got to live in this multicultural sort of area.
With all the decadence.
Maybe they did ship him over in order to punish him in that way.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be really
Look how
cool
your
for him
Aryan
to
race
be.
hasn't worked out. big
Yeah.
time, huh? Take
Yeah.
a look at that, motherfucker.
I just like the idea of him like banging on the floor to be like, stop the noise.
The 1980s, a few rumours claimed that Hitler had died in the US and was secretly buried in an unmarked grave. There's also a rumour that he was in Kentucky for a while, living under government protection. This was later dismissed as pure speculation. But yeah, there were Soviet files that allege that he may have escaped. Joseph Stalin reportedly told Western leaders in 1945 that Hitler might have escaped. KGB files from the 50s show that Soviet intelligence continued investigating Hitler's possible survival, even though they officially stated he was dead. So I suppose you probably would keep it open a bit, wouldn't you? If you didn't have absolute concrete evidence of his death, you probably would still be like keep that open, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean there was Nazi hunters, right? I mean, I don't think there's any Nazi hunters left now because there aren't any to find. But that was a thing well into the 80s, you know, and they did fake their own deaths, and they did, you know, there were death certificates for some of these Nazis, and so why not the big dog?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, how? What are the deaths? What are the ways they fake their own deaths, though? Because if there's a similar sort of thing,
in terms of like there was deaths, because they were the officials that could get whatever they wanted printed up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, so, at certain points, and there were people loyal to the Nazis, and there were people loyal to the idea. You know,
There was enough of a following globally in various pockets of the world that allowed this to be able to happen.
Yeah.
That's why it's so conceivable. So counter-arguments and historical consensus. Despite these claims, historians and forensic experts largely agree that Hitler died in his bunker in 1945. Testimonies from those present, including Hitler's personal staff, indicate that he shot himself while Eva Braun, his wife, took cyanide. The remains were later found and identified through dental records, which experts regard as strong evidence of his death. Furthermore, extensive searches by Allied forces uncovered no verified evidence of Hitler's survival. The lack of credible proof, combined with the logistical improbability of escaping unnoticed amid the war's chaos, makes a survival theory highly unlikely. Some historians argue that the survival theory was deliberately spread as a Cold War propaganda. The Soviet Union, for example, initially kept information about Hitler's death classified, leading to speculation that he had escaped. This uncertainty was further fueled by various intelligence agencies investigating unconfirmed reports of his survival, adding to the myth surrounding his fate. I can see why they would have kept the details about his death under wraps for a while, but it probably did add to that conspiratorial mindset of, well, why aren't you releasing this information? Why aren't you telling us more about it?
I mean, Hitler dying at the end of World War II was pretty much out there pretty much right away. Because it was in popular culture, like the human in the comic books, the Human Torch is the one that killed him. It burns him to death, and that's how I actually found out. I remember reading that book as a kid. It was a reprint, but that was part of popular culture by 1950 at the latest. Yeah. So yes, it might have been held back, but it wasn't held back that long. And people speculated on it. The idea that Hitler survived was speculated in 1945. Yeah. By people, like it was there, because that makes it makes
it's
sense.
Natural. It is a natural thing. I can completely understand it being natural to speculate. So, while speculation continues, the weight of available documentation and forensic analysis strongly contradicts the idea of Hitler's escape and hidden existence. The mainstream historical evidence overwhelmingly supports the conclusion that Hitler died in 1945. The persistence of this theory serves as a reminder of just how history can be shaped by both facts and myths, as well as the enduring fascination with one of history's most famous figures. So, Ross, did Hitler die in World War II?
I fully came into this thinking that he did, but no, I think he was living it up in New York City. I think it is so highly feasible that, like, do a deal. You've been very silly, Adolf. This has gone mad now. Will you strike this deal? Go to Argentina. I think that just makes sense to me.
Yeah.
The idea that he died in the bunker, and also I still can't get over this idea of, whatever, was it Soviet soldiers who found him first? Was it? I mean, come on, there would be body parts, there would be pictures, there would have been something. Yeah. I think he lived.
You think he lived?
I think he lived. I don't think he lived that long. Yeah, but I think he lived.
Okay. David?
He lived.
Okay.
He survived World War II.
And he lived where?
Central America. Central America. Via Argentina, U-boat.
Via the Perons, helping them out.
Yeah. I think at least initially, him and Eva Peron. Because you mentioned they had a daughter, Ursula. She features. She. Okay. Yes,
I think he still tried to get into art school.
He thought I might be easier in Argentina.
I think he was in London trying to get into Goldsmiths.
Okay, I think you're both.
What do you
nuts.
think?
No, I think you're both nuts. No, I think it's conceivable it could have happened. I do think that because I think it would have been much easier to get away with it back then. But I don't think it happened. I do believe that a lot of high-ranking Nazis did escape to in South America. In fact, I think they were aided and assisted in that. Yeah. We also know that happened in the US. I think that he was not one that would have happened to, though. I just think it would have been too risky for them.
You do realise I'm going to go on YouTube, but you will get a phone call from me at like 4 a.m, being like, I don't believe it anymore.
I found it. Yeah. Here, I'll send you a link.
Phil, David, I'm in South America.
Ross, the podcast is over. Just let it go.
Is it over though? Is it over?
It's never over. Yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be waiting for that street cleaner. Just being like, tell me your name.
Your act is going to be so different after this.
Oh yeah, completely. Yeah, I'm just going to be like, he's alive.
And none of you. We're going to, do you know Hitler's not dead?
Yeah. And when Elon Musk did that salute, he was pointing to South America.
That's why Kanye's selling merchandise.
Hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Ross, would you like to look at this camera and tell people where they can find you, where they can follow you?
You can follow me at Ross Smith Comedy on all things, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm not on TikTok. Are you on TikTok?
Yeah.
TikTok? I'm not on TikTok.
This podcast is on TikTok.
Oh, this podcast. Yes. Well, TikTok's great. But at Ross Smith Comedy. I think that's it. I don't have anything else to plug, but my gig list is up there, so yeah, check it out.
Yep, absolutely. Would you like a Hitler joke during the podcast?
I would love a Hitler joke.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What's Hitler's favourite video game?
Oh,
I don't want to know.
I really want to know.
Minecraft.
That's good.
That was the cleanest one I could find. That's not that bad. That's not that bad.
That's not a bad joke. That's not a bad joke.
You'd be proud.
Yeah.
Well, what are the other ones?
I'll tell you after this.
Brilliant.
That's the end of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye.
If you like the podcast and fancy extra episodes and early access every week, why not join our Patreon? Just £5 a month and you'll be helping support the pod. Remember, we love you. Bye.